Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our sorry, I just had the president of Rotary texting in there. Welcome, everyone, to our meeting today. This is our second in the weekly series, and we have last Friday we got up as high as 117. We're sitting on 64 now. And just a reminder that we are recording these calls, posting them to YouTube, and then we'll put them on the Zone's Facebook page later in the day of each meetings. Feel free to ask questions. There is a chat window that you can address either the group or address me. And as soon as I see the text or if there's a chat, we will acknowledge you and let you have the floor. Just a couple of things that need to say up front, or would like to say up front. Beyond that, if you're not speaking, please keep your mic muted, and that way we reduce background noise. And these are interesting times. These are certainly interesting times, but Director Stephanie, Director Elect Peter, and I are here for you every week. We're not going to be talking Rotary every week. We're going to have all kinds of great programs for you that hopefully you will want to take these videos back and share them in your clubs and your districts. Use them as a weekly meeting. We're putting all kinds of stuff out here for you to be able to use to keep connected. Rotary connects the world. Our Grand President Daniel Maloney is on the phone with, or on the call with us here. We're going to give him the microphone in just a few minutes to come motivate all of you. But we've got to remember that we are the Rotary is connected the world, and it's up to us to keep that going so that we come out of this situation that we're in still leaders in our community and still leading our communities through Rotary. With that, I would like to welcome the president of Rotary International, Mark Maloney, and I think Jay may be on the call as well. I ask you to say a few words to us, Mark.
Good afternoon, everyone. Gay and I are here. Gay's had some technical difficulties in getting into Zoom on her computer, but here we are. It's great to be with you all. It's I'm seeing a photo of one couple with holding the phone between them. That's great. And we're delighted to be a part of this Zoom meeting. These are indeed interesting times, but you know, this is the time that Rotary can shine. We can be leaders in our communities. We can continue to connect the world. We can help local authorities undertake things that need to be done locally, and we can spread the word about how important it is to flatten the curve. David, what questions do you have?
We'll take just a few minutes. Anyone have questions that you'd like to ask of Mark, just put them in the chat box and he'll try to address them for us. Anyone?
Where do I find the chat box?
I'm watching it for you, Mark, in case we have any.
Okay. I got it now.
And if you're not finding the chat box, just unmute your mic and ask your question online at this time.
I have a question. This is Rotarian Imelda Medina. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are all safe. I would like to ask if we have a survey through which we can ask our fellow Rotarians how they are doing and how could we help them. A survey so that each Rotarian can express how they are doing and how can we help them and their families. Thank you.
We do not have a survey as such. To do that, it would be very difficult for us as a global organization to respond on a case-by-case basis to the situations. I think that's something that needs to be done at the local level to check with, for each club to check with its fellow Rotarians and other people in the community. I think it's much more manageable if it's done on a local level than on an international level. Here in the chat box, some person has said that many districts are issuing surveys to their members. John Nanny has asked, are we looking to reschedule the convention? Unfortunately, no, we are not looking to reschedule the in-person convention. It would be just a tremendous challenge to try to have the convention at another time. And where would it be? We don't know. We have no idea about availability of venues. But we are looking forward to having some sort of virtual event to communicate some of the messages that the convention would have conveyed. And we're working on that. Of course, this is a new experience for us, so it's going to take us some time to develop the plans for that, but we're beginning to work on that. Our first meeting on that discussion is on Wednesday of this week.
Okay, well, Mark, thank you and Gay so much for being with us this morning. You're welcome to stay on the call or not, but we do appreciate you dialing in and being with us for a few minutes. Mark, I think you can probably see, but we currently have 75 people on the call. And we did have, as Mark mentioned about the convention a little bit and was addressing that question about rescheduling it, but I would like to, for Director Stephanie to go into just a little bit more detail about the board meeting that we had virtually last week, if you wouldn't mind, Stephanie. Stephanie, are you with us?
Yep, I just had to figure out how to unmute myself. You can't do it with the chat box open, apparently. So yeah, last Wednesday, something happened at Rotary International that we've never experienced before. The Board of Directors had its first ever virtual board meeting. And I just want to share with you, we used a platform. We didn't use Zoom. We used a platform called Kudo. And what was so interesting about the technology was that it had a built-in translation, so that if you just indicated your language, when a person spoke in another language, you automatically heard the translation. So it was really, you know, a fabulous product. So listening to recommendations from President Mark and from convention staff and others, we made a unanimous decision that in the best interest of all of our members and our health and safety, the best decision, although a disappointing one, was to cancel the convention. And that's the first time that's happened in the history of Rotary. We had our first convention in 1910, and there were 60 people there. Even during the World War II, we had a convention. I can't remember, a little over 100 people were there. But because of this international pandemic, it just seemed to be the only decision to make. So we're in the process now of refunding all fees that any registrant paid, and we have over $8 million that has to be returned. So that may be a slow process. So we hope everybody will be patient about that. Also, last Wednesday evening, Director David and I spoke at length and decided that we also had to cancel our Southland breakfast. And in talking with our treasurer and with our event coordinator, who was David Lusty, we went ahead and did that. And the same will hold true. We are going to refund every registrant the entire fee. So no cancellation fees for either of those events.
And I believe that President Mark would like to say a little bit to that point. Mark?
Yes. The decision to cancel the convention on one side was very hard, but on the other side was really becoming quite easy. A week ago Friday, on whatever that was, a week ago Friday, the 13th, Friday the 13th, you know, we were meeting with staff and talking about extending registration deadlines and how we could move forward with the convention. But on Saturday, I spent a lot of time reading about what was happening. And I particularly looked at this article regarding the difference between what happened during the Spanish flu in 1918 in Philadelphia versus what happened in St. Louis. In 1918, St. Louis closed parks, pools, public events, and had a tremendous positive impact on the occurrence of Spanish flu in St. Louis. In Philadelphia, they went ahead with a parade welcoming troops, and the Spanish flu just went through that community exponentially. And it became obvious to me that we must do something to flatten the curve. And of course, over the weekend, the recommendation was made that there not be gatherings of more than 50 people. And over the weekend, I reached the conclusion that we just had to cancel the convention. It really hurt. It really hurt, but it was obvious. And on Monday afternoon, I had the opportunity to speak personally with Dr. Bruce Aylward. Now, many of you, I think, will remember Dr. Aylward. He was the point person. He was the leader of WHO in the polio eradication campaign. And he moved on to other efforts and was the leader in the Ebola response and was the leader of the team that went to Wuhan, China with respect to the coronavirus. And I had the opportunity to speak with him for about 20 minutes over the telephone. And I asked him, do you see any possible scenario where there would not be an unreasonable risk if we were to hold a convention with several thousand people in Honolulu? And he agreed with my conclusion that that was just not possible. And therefore, when I met with the staff virtually at 2:30 that afternoon, I went in with the conviction that we had to cancel the convention. Now, I want to congratulate the volunteers and the staff. We went from my coming in at 2:30 on Monday saying that the convention needed to be canceled to having the first ever virtual board meeting at 8 o'clock on Wednesday on the Kudo platform with interpretation happening for those in Japanese, Korean, and Italian. And after an hour-and-a-half meeting, the board unanimously agreed, as Director Stephanie has already indicated. And a communications plan was already in place to where we would first notify the vendors, because we have vendors that we work with year after year, and plus the Hawaii Convention Center. They needed to know first, but we didn't want them to find out publicly. But we couldn't really start our notifications until 2 o'clock in the afternoon when it's 9 a.m. back in Honolulu. But we went through all that, and by 6:30 that evening, the email went out to every registrant notifying them that the convention had been canceled. And for the staff to pull all that together in 52 hours, I was just very pleased with. And you know, there's a certain amount of competition always, and I want to let you know that we have beat Lions, we've beat Kiwanis, and we've beat Optimist in canceling our conventions. If you go to the Lions webpage, so we're first again. I just got an email this morning from the executive director of Optimist that says they've canceled their convention. If you go to the website of Lions, they just posted late Friday evening or early Saturday morning that the convention will not be happening in Singapore. They've not made a final decision about cancellation. And so I told the staff last Monday that I wanted to beat Lions on this announcement, and we did it. But anyway, I just thought people might appreciate hearing some of the background on what went on in making this decision.
Okay, thank you, Mark. We appreciate that. And before we move away to
we're going to sign off here. And
thank you, Mark, for being with us. Everybody give me a big clap in your video there. We appreciate your leadership, man, and Gay. So before we move away from the convention, Stephanie and Peter and I had a discussion last night about how we can, somebody posted virtual clap, but we got it, rock on. We talked a little bit last night about something that's going on here. In this convention, we are refunding over 8.7 million American dollars around the world. And as you know, we are connecting people. This call, other calls that you're having in your clubs and your districts. And if you want Stephanie or Peter or me one day, you let us know. We will be there unless it's scheduled over somebody. We want to be out there getting the word out. But we have a call to action for you. We would like for you to consider going out into your clubs and your districts, Rotarians that have registered for the convention, Rotarians in zones 33 and 34 specifically. We've said Stephanie and Peter are carrying it forward after my term ends on June 30th. We are going to end hunger in these United States, especially in zones 33 and 34. We took on a challenge last year to do 10 million meal equivalencies in these zones toward 2030 as possible, USAID's plan to end hunger. Stephanie, or on behalf of Stephanie, Peter, and myself, we challenge you to go to your members, go to your clubs, go to your district, and challenge those people who registered for the convention to redirect that money. Redirect it to your local food bank. Consider redirecting it to your local food bank to help what we're doing in Rotary and stay connected in the community. Folks, that money was already spent. I know we all can use it in this economy, but that money was already spent. Let's redirect it and do some good in Rotary about that. And I guess I'll get off my soapbox at that. I do appreciate you letting me say that, though, because I'm all about ending hunger. There's all kinds of things that you can do to get involved. To be involved, and let me turn the program over to Stephanie and Peter and find my, just a minute, let me find it, there we go. Share this with you all. Peter and Stephanie, would you share some things that they can do to be?
Sure, let me start. Yeah, I think a lot of us have already started asking around and getting our clubs to look at virtual meetings with Zoom or Skype or GoToMeeting or whatever platform. I think it's really important for us to try to maintain a weekly format. Our strategic plan that rolled out in July reminds us how important it is to have participant engagement. So I would continue to stress how important that is. You'll see on the screen a list of ideas. I'm not going to spend time going through all of them. I think this is a good time for you to take a screenshot. But I will talk about a couple of them. If you look down there, there's one that talks about inviting members to address the card to any resident and send it to a local nursing home. My club decided last week that each week we were going to do a stay-at-home service project, and that was our project last week. All members took 3 cards, note cards. If you didn't have a card, you simply took paper and wrote a generic note, positive, identified ourselves as members of the McMurray Rotary Club in Pennsylvania, and talked about the good works that we do, wish them well, and then we addressed it to any resident and sent it to one of the nursing homes in our area.
And laptop.
So You can look and see that there are some additional ideas there. You may have some others that you'd like to share, and if you do, I'd suggest that you post those to the chat pane so that we can keep kind of a registry of things that are going on. So Peter, if you want to share some other ideas or pick up, you know, and talk about some of the ones on your list, please do.
Great, thanks, Stephanie. Well, before getting to that, I just want to say how terrific it is that there are 74 people on this call, and last Friday, there were 107. David said it went up to 117 at some point. This is terrific. I think I'm excited about the possibilities that we have with technology. Instead of in-person meetings, we're now going to have online meetings. And I think there are lots of things that we can do, even online. And Stephanie has mentioned some. If you've taken a screenshot, I think that's all that's necessary. I don't propose to go through the list either. But I've just talked to some of my director-elect colleagues in other zones around the world, and they're doing similar things. They're having regular meetings with regular calls with the district governor line. So the whole world, I think, is really activating the Rotary International infrastructure in a very positive and exciting way. And we're going to learn whole new ways of communicating. Rotary Connects the World has never had more direct application. I'm sure Mark didn't ever anticipate that this would be the way we are connecting, but I think it's terrific that the technology allows us to do that. And many clubs are now meeting virtually. We'll have training meetings virtually. We'll have all sorts of meetings virtually. And I think that's going to be quite exciting. So I don't want to go through a list. Stephanie has outlined a couple of suggestions. And I think we can rely on the creativity and the ingenuity of club presidents and district governors to come up with all sorts of ideas as to how they can help their local communities. And I'm just excited and proud to be part of this group. Last Friday, when I came off the call, 107 people, I thought, this is just amazing. This is really Rotary and Rotarians at their best, all coming together with all sorts of ideas on how to make the best of a bad situation. And I think as we go forward over the next few weeks, we'll have 2 sessions each week, one on Friday, one on Monday at noon and one on Friday at 7:30. Different speakers on each occasion, each addressing really relevant parts of the Rotary information resources that we have available to us. So I think that's exciting, and as I say, I'm delighted to be part of this initiative, and I thank you all for stepping up, joining the call today, and for what I know that you're going to be doing over the next few weeks and months. So
Thanks,
with that,
Peter.
I'll pass it back to Stephanie and David.
Thanks, Peter. We appreciate that. We do need to move on to our program for today. Our program today is our regional Rotary coordinator in Zone 34, George Robertson Burnett, and he came out with a document early on of how we as Rotary can look at this situation. And at this point, I'm going to turn the mic and the screen over to George. Welcome, George.
Thank you very much, David. Greatly appreciated. Great to see so many known faces and also some new friends. Isn't that what Rotary is all about? That's absolutely fabulous. Now I'm going to try and share my screen, and I'm very, very much hoping that it'll work, because it'll be terribly embarrassing for me if it doesn't. So here we go. That seems to be working so far, and let's just hope that this comes up. Well, there you go. The technology works. Isn't that fabulous? Well, nearly. So what a difference a week makes. It's absolutely incredible. And even a day, this situation changes almost on a daily basis. The current situation has obviously raised many questions, and has given us a lot of even new terminology. I mean, who'd ever heard of social distancing? And as President Mark and others have used today, flattening the curve. These are now common terms for us, and it's kind of surprising. As we know, the coronavirus is a worldwide pandemic, and it's caused an unprecedented situation. Always remember that district governor training, as many of you have had, covers the fact that you need to plan, but always to be prepared for something coming in from left field. Who could have expected a problem of this magnitude? It represents a considerable challenge to the very fabric of our organization. And it's amazing to think how fast this has all happened. I was saying on Friday, it just blows my mind that, you know, it was only 2 weeks ago that we were having pets with 600 attendees. And here we are now with our new reality. It's certainly a change scenario. So as David referred to, I was hearing about what was actually happening at the very beginning and thought, you know, we need to get something out so that people who are less familiar with online tools, to give them that confidence to try that medium. You know, it's very, very important that we encourage all clubs to continue the fellowship. But for the sake of the present emergency, of course, we need to do that in a very safe environment. So I produced this guide called the Guidance for Maintaining Member Engagement during the COVID-19 pandemic. Nice to say, fall off the tongue, short title there. But it was actually meant to go out to those clubs who maybe didn't feel terribly comfortable. And so for some who obviously are more accustomed to using online medium, it may seem that some of the advice seems a little bit simple. However, you've got to remember that not everybody is you know, accustomed to this medium as you may be yourself. If you need a copy of this guidance document, please just get in touch with me on my email, which will be at the end. And please remember that the Rotary Coordinator team is here to support your efforts. We certainly had to change our thought processes quite a lot. As you know, your Rotary Coordinator team is always on about growing membership. And very much in this present emergency, we've had to put an awful lot of our efforts into retention efforts rather than growth. However, I will cover some growth possibilities later because you know, even a crisis is an opportunity. So I just want to put a word in here about the Rotary Learning Centre because it takes on a whole new relevance currently. You know, this is a fabulous tool which is ever expanding and offers a great opportunity for learning by role. You know, your club presidents, treasurers, secretaries, committee members, and you know, can all learn on the Learning Centre from great programs. You can also learn by subject, and there's programs for AGs as well as all others. You know, with district training assemblies just around the corner, these courses can be built into your program and offer a great opportunity to continue the training program without having any face-to-face or person-to-person meetings. So putting that thing together, I want you to look at this. We all love our acronyms, NRTFN. This was the phrase that actually prompted me to put pen to paper because I heard somebody say, no Rotary until further notice. And that's a very, very frightening prospect for all of us, that there would be no Rotary till further notice. And we do get it. You know, not everybody feels completely comfortable with online mediums, but we must continue the engagement and to ensure not only that people stay engaged with Rotary, but that we recognize needs within our Rotary clubs and within our communities. So the preferred learning meeting format is, of course, online. And here we see a Zoom meeting for 50 people. We had more than double that on Friday, but this is what it looks like, and it looks absolutely fabulous. And it may be very familiar to many of you here, but to a lot of our members, this is a closed book, you know, and not a book they even want to open. So we need to encourage these Zoom meetings and online meetings as we apply social distancing. So the amount of providers is very large, and some are more complex, some are more expensive, some are very, very cheap, and some are free. So we're going to concentrate on the main contender, which is Zoom, which is the medium we're using today, and seems to be the preferred one anyway. So let's have a look at Zoom. Zoom video conferencing. It's free up to 40 minutes per meeting. So you can sign up for a free account as long as your meetings don't last longer than 40 minutes. Now, if you're having a Rotary meeting that's lasting 40 minutes, I would recommend that you don't invite me as a speaker, because I'm never going to manage to get all that in if your meeting's only lasting 40 minutes.
If I could just pop in a comment here, right now the 40 minutes is being waived. We have this plan with our club, and the last two meetings, they've let us go well over an hour, and they gave just a little notice saying that the extra time is a free gift. So
that's
right
fabulous.
Now they're not limiting the 40 minutes at this point in time.
That's fabulous news, and thank you so much for interjecting at that point.
Okay, I also have another little input. Yes, we have the 20% discount from Global Rewards, but if you go on to a website called TechSoup.org, they specialize in getting discounts for nonprofits, and our district just purchased the Zoom for the whole district at a 50% discount.
That's fabulous. I appreciate that, and thank you for correcting the slide. It is absolutely Rotary Global Rewards, not Awards.
Would you repeat the website, please? Please repeat the website.
TechSoup, TECH.
Doug, put it on the thread.
SOUP.
Please put it on the thread. Just put it on the thread, okay?
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you so much. So that'll be in the chat box for you. That's great advice. Thank you so much. All of the plans on Zoom allow for 100 participants. You can go up to 500 with a large member add-on, so that is a possibility. You can have as many meetings as you want, but only one at a time. And of course, many people on here already have Zoom accounts, or many Zoom accounts are already in our districts. And so we are highly recommending, of course, that we share these and make them available as far as we possibly can. So with regard to communication for those in club and districts bringing online meetings, the message needs to be clear and consistent. Getting as big an audience as possible with clear instructions how to connect, whether a download is needed, plus, of course, the day and time very, very clearly stated. These communications from Zoom, instituted by our directors here twice a week, are also a great source of the latest information. Please make sure to visit at least one of these, either Friday or Monday, because it's a great way for us to keep connected and ensure that we're getting the latest relevant information. I've also noticed from district leadership teams there have been, fabulous Zooms already, all encouraging the fact that we need to get online. And thank you so much for doing that. That is absolutely the best advice that we can give. Also encouraging regular club communications in addition to the online presence is very, very important. We've got to remember that not everyone will get on the Zoom, and we must keep connected to our clubs and our members. So that's very, very important that we don't just rely on this medium. We have other things. So how do we actually go about setting up the meeting? First, we choose an online provider. That's very, very important. We're using Zoom here because it is one of the easiest ones to use. It's very intuitive. And then it's a case of choosing the time of day. You can obviously choose the same time as your meeting would have been anyway, because of course people often allocated that time, but you may also consider that a different time may be advantageous. The whole criteria should be that, when can we get the maximum audience? No matter what medium you choose, if you've not used it before, please do a dry run. Make sure that you're fully conversant with everything that it does and how to operate it. That's very, very important. The next thing is to decide the content. What do you want to include in the meeting, and also what do you want to leave out? That treasurer's report with the financial thing may not actually transfer too well, but trying to keep these meetings very, very vibrant, great speakers. We've got to respect people's time, make them very interactive if we possibly can. The few that I've done so far, I have to say that whilst it's a new medium and people are just getting accustomed to it, they've been fun, energetic, and even the odd glitches have added to our fun and our engagement. So that's very, very important. The main thing is that this meeting that you have online should be the best hour of the week. So thinking about what we're putting into the meetings is very, very important. And then, of course, we have to be innovative. I mean, innovative. Sorry if I say that in a British way, but there we go. We've got to be innovative. Resourceful Rotarians will, of course, come up with some wonderful adaptations to make their online meeting the best hour of the week. And we must remember to keep the meetings a good value for the participants' time. So it's no different in that case to a face-to-face meeting. Innovation in the way that we collect happy bucks. Of course, there's no physical contact, so how are we going to collect it? Have that thought out before. And be very creative with regards to projects, because again, there's challenges if they're. The other thing that I would also say is, of course, you know, let's have social meetings. Don't just confine it to having your Rotary meeting. How's about having, okay, Friday night, social night, adult beverages are allowed. Let's come on, let's talk to one another. Let's let's do something a little bit different, whether it's maybe have a quiz, or a virtual treasure hunt using Google Earth or something. You know, whatever you choose to do, I'm sure you'll get a good turnout and it'll be fun. So don't forget that you can use these as social meetings as well. If this goes on a long, long time, I can assure you that people more and more will want to have that outside connection. Just as an aside, I was on a virtual meeting last week, and there was a lady saying, I've got to mute myself because I'm walking the dog. I thought it was absolutely fabulous that you can go to a Rotary meeting while you're walking the dog. And it was great when she actually gave a happy buck because the dog did its business. I thought that's the most unusual happy buck I've ever witnessed in my life. So these are opportunities that can actually present themselves, and let's use them. Let's use them. Please remember that not everyone is computer savvy. I can assure you that's not a picture of me, but I'm not the greatest one on computers, and some people have great trepidation. So we need to help. We need to give them additional assistance to make sure that they can get on and that they feel comfortable. We have a lot of experts in online mediums in our districts, and I think it's great that we actually use them and involve them. The other thing that we need to remember is good housekeeping with regard to these meetings. As I was saying before, test it out, take a dry run and make sure the tech works. Make sure that you mute when there's someone talking, because it's very disconcerting to hear noise in the background. But having said that, we need to encourage involvement. So figure out ways to do that with the chat boxes, raised hands, or whatever your particular medium allows. Use video from Vimeo, the Rotary website, and if you're comfortable with it, but please make sure to check it out beforehand to make sure that you can actually not only share your screen, but share the audio. There is a separate box for that. You know, if you're looking for videos, there's nothing easier than putting Rotary videos in Google, and you know what? You'll find them. It's absolutely amazing. They are there, and that's the simple way to find them. Do remember that we have e-clubs in many of our districts. If you have an e-club, please promote it to those people who may not, their own meeting may not go ahead, or they may not be able to go to their own online meeting if they're having one. Give them that opportunity. They can do a makeup at an e-club. And so it's important to get those e-clubs known within your district so that that is a further option. The fact is, you know, folks, this can be looked on as an opportunity. You know, the nursing homes are on lockdown. You know, the fact of sending cards or even video cards, as I heard from up in Zone 33, to these to keep people connected to their community is very, very important. We can look on this as an opportunity. Food banks and school meal challenges because of the schools being closed are all things, and I understand that blood transfusion services in critical stage also. So thinking about what we can actually do gives us an opportunity. Also, there will be so many people stuck at home getting a little bit stir crazy. So why not invite folks you know to your virtual meeting? It may be the first time that they actually come across Rotary or that they're ever exposed to Rotary, but look on it as an opportunity. They are looking for something to do as well. And you never know, you may find a new Rotary member that way. But I've never chosen to have this as a necessity, but let's have fun with it. We can have fun. You know, the last meeting I did was absolutely fabulous with great atmosphere. And let's face it, e-clubs have been doing this for many, many years. So it is a successful medium. Let's remember to have fun as we go through. And as promised, I'll put up my email address for those who may want to further the conversation or to get hold of the guide, whatever. But I will stand for questions if there are any questions. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, George, if you could unshare your screen for us.
I certainly will.
Thank you so much, George, and it's great to have all of you with us today. There are a couple of housekeeping items before we close, announcements and that kind of thing. If you look in your chat panel, currently Stephanie has scroll back through. Stephanie has posted an update at 12:36 about reminding us that the Rotary Support Center is closed, so can't call in, don't fax in contributions, that type of thing. We need to adjust on that. The e-clubs in the world, if you go to Rotary.org, there's a list of every one of the e-clubs there, and should be how to get to their sites. The question about the charts on our Facebook site, the coronavirus response guide is posted and pinned as an announcement on the zones Facebook page. I would like to ask you this. We have this is another call to action. We have over 2,000, nearly 2,100 members of that group. It's the largest group of zone Facebook social media membership out there. I encourage you to go there if you've not liked that page, and then invite fellow members in your clubs, in your district, that type of thing, because we are using this platform very actively to get information out, to share information, and letting people share information about how they get together or what they're doing. There was a question about socializing. How do you do socializing? Go to my Facebook page or go to Kim Waters at my wife's Facebook page. We had dinner with our daughter on Friday evening. She and her beau were in Atlanta. On Saturday evening, we had a virtual dinner with some friends in the Grand Cayman Islands and in Jacksonville or Palm Beach, Florida. It's easy. I'm hearing about people that are having just cocktail hour social times via Zoom. Let's get out there and let's take the lead and get us through this time. We appreciate all that you are doing. And Stephanie, do you have any closing comments before we close?
I do, David, thank you. You may remember George on his final slide reminded us to have fun. Well, for those of you planning to join us on Friday morning at 7:30 and or again next Monday at noon, we're going to have Hawaiian Shirt Day. So we'd like you to wear for this Zoom call the shirt that you were going to take to Hawaii. I know we all bought one, and if you didn't buy one, you may have one, but we're going to have Hawaiian Shirt Day. So we'll remind you in the email invitation, but mark it on your calendar so that when we see each other on Friday at 7:30 in the morning, we'll all be in our Hawaiian shirts. Thanks, David.
Okay, thanks, Stephanie. Peter, you got anything?
No, I think it's hard always to follow Stephanie. I'm happy with what Stephanie said, so nothing more from me.
Okay, thank you all for being here. We appreciate it. Let's go out there, Rotary Connect the World, and looking forward to Holger. Let's make this an opportunity for Rotary. Y'all have a great week. See some of you, I hope, on Friday.